angels! Welcome to Queer in the Kitchen. Queer is the French word for to bake or to cook, and today we are baking all you lovely angels some dessert. Yes, we are. Today we are making angel food cake.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains. We're hungry!
I'm sure you've at least tried angel food cake at some point. It's not quite as popular as it used to be, but angel food cake is a cake that has no fat in it. So it counts on its structure coming from egg whites. Lots and lots of egg whites. Given that, though, and the structure as it's baking, it has to continue to be a light structure. In other words, you can't add a bunch of things inside it, like fruit and that kind of thing. So angel food cake tends to be just the angel food cake, and then it's sweetened or added with stuff on top, like fruit on top or a jelly or glaze or whatever the case may be. So we're gonna make regular angel food cake, and we're gonna top it off with a lemon curd today. So we started off with 9 egg whites, which is about a cup and a quarter of egg whites. Tends to be 9 large egg whites. Light. So we're using cake flour. This is cake flour, which tends to be obviously a little bit lighter than regular flour. This is 1 cup of cake flour. We're gonna pour that into a sifter. We're gonna sift the flour and the sugar together just to make it, again, lighter. And this is a half a cup of sugar. We're gonna sift this twice, just to make sure it's as light as possible. All the chunks are out of it so it doesn't weigh it down. Okay, a second time. Then we're just gonna set this aside for a bit. Okay, so we have our 9 egg whites here. We've let these sit at room temperature for about a half an hour. We're gonna pour all of that in. To this, we're gonna add 1 1/4 teaspoons of cream of tartar and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. If you don't know what cream of tartar is, I'm sure you've seen it before, but cream of tartar is actually somehow it's a byproduct of making wine. I don't remember exactly, but what it does is it helps create the structure for the egg whites. So when you're whipping up things for like meringue or something, if you add about 1/8 of a teaspoon per egg white, it will increase the structure and make it more, not firm, but make it more stable. Cream of tartar, that's what that is. And then we added salt. We have a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. We're pouring that in. And then we're gonna mix these up until light peaks form. Okay, so I think this is soft peak. You can see the peak right there. And it looks a little bit soft. It doesn't pull up a lot of soft peaks because I only have one beater, but yeah, I think we're gonna go with that. So then what we're gonna do to this is a full cup of sugar. We're gonna add this to this egg beating mixture or egg white mixture in about a couple teaspoons each. Then once that's all mixed together and the egg whites are firm, then we're going to fold in the flour mixture. Okay, I think we're gonna be pretty good there. They're still dipping over just a little bit. Oh, nope, I think they're, yeah. I think we're gonna be good though. If we're not, we'll know for the next time. And to this, we're gonna slowly mix in the flour sugar mixture that I told you before that we sifted together earlier. Now, you can't just dump this all together. Same with the sugar that I was adding while this was whipping. You can't just dump all of that in at one time or else, again, it's gonna weight down the egg whites and you don't want that to happen. You want there to remain as much air as possible. So we're gonna add this a little bit at a time as well. And then we're just gonna fold this in. You remember that scene from Schitt's Creek? I know I told you before. I can't help it here, fold it in and not think of that scene. So funny when Moira is talking to David and she's like, fold it in. And David's like, what does that mean? And Moira says, it means you fold it in. You fold it in. David says, if you say fold it in one more time. Those of you who never watched Schitt's Creek, just never mind. It's funny. We want to make sure it's incorporated, but we also want to make sure that we don't beat it enough that we lose the structure that we have built up. So folding is a little different than stirring in that it's not constant. You are simply just, as you can see, folding it over. Whereas stirring, you'd just be going... You wouldn't be making that noise probably, unless you were me, but... Okay. I'm excited to make this. My mom, when I was growing up, we were never allowed to make white cake. Like, my mom wouldn't let us just throw the yolks away. She's like, just throw the yolk in. I'm like, but Mom, I want white cake. It doesn't matter, it tastes the same. So we were never allowed to throw away the yolks. God forbid we should have made angel food cake where it takes 9 whites that you have to throw away the yolks for. What made this particularly funny is, although my family did not have excess growing up, we were definitely not poor, and we most certainly didn't not know where our next meal was coming from. And we also certainly did not expect our next meal to be just egg yolks. So it was somewhat amusing that Mom was so anti throwing away egg yolks. But anyway, we never did. So I've never made an angel food cake. This is the first time, and I am excited about it. So as I'm looking through this, it looks like got it pretty well blended in. There's nothing sitting at the bottom of the bowl. It doesn't look like there's any visible flour and sugar chunks in the batter itself. That's a good thing. So this is a tube pan. Tube pan is different than a bundt pan. So you want to use a tube pan for this because it sits taller. And part of the point of angel food cake is to get it to grow, to be tall. So it has 2 parts to it like this. When it comes out of the oven, we're going to have to turn it over and you cool it upside down. Since there's a break in here, you can either put Crisco around there with flour to kind of seal it a little bit, or I've just cut up basic parchment paper into some kind of crazy way just to seal that, just to cover that seal there so it doesn't leak out into my oven. Top might not look great, but everybody likes a nice looking top though, huh? Plop this in. Plop it. The pan is ungreased. You want it ungreased because think of a poor stripper if you had her climbing a pole, honey, and you grease the pan, or him, and you grease the pole. Oh my gosh, they'd fall right down. It would not be pretty. So, again, because you want the height on your angel food cake, don't grease the pan because it needs to be able to climb up the pole. And we're going to take a knife and cut through this because we don't want any air holes in there that are going to lessen the structure. But we also don't want to beat it on the counter like you normally would to get air out of something because we don't want to condense it either. So we're just going to take a knife and run it through. And in doing that, we're also going to try to straighten it up just a little bit so it looks a little bit nicer. Because that parchment paper really is probably going to make it look a mess. I probably should have done the way my friend Lynn, whose pan this is, told me to do it with the thing. Now she's going to write me and say, I told you so! All right, we have the oven heating at 350 degrees. So we're going to put that in, put it in the bottom rack of the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. And then once we get that done, we'll, or while that's happening, we can start making the lemon curd. Lemon curd really couldn't be much simpler. We've got a double boiler starting here. We're going to let this come to a boil. We're going to turn it down, put our bowl on top of it. And then we're just going to add 5 ingredients to it and stir it for 10 minutes until our arm falls off. And then cool it. So, I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I just filmed an entire segment about lemon curd and didn't have the camera started. Okay, so what I did is I got a double boiler here. I got the water boiling rapidly, and then I turned it down very low to simmer. Then I added, why do I keep forgetting that amount? 2/3 of a cup of granulated sugar, 1/3 of a cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice, about a tablespoon of lemon zest, but I love citrus anything, so, probably more than a tablespoon. 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and then I added 4 egg yolks. And now I'm just stirring this for 10 minutes, for about 10 minutes. We're stirring it constantly because we don't want the egg yolks to curdle. By curdle, that doesn't mean go bad, it means you don't want them into scrambled eggs. So that's why we're stirring this. I'm about 2 minutes in now, and arm is still here. That's good. So arm's still here, and we'll keep checking back with you. This should thicken sometime around the 10-minute mark. 5 minutes in, arm is still here. Curd is still not thickened. 8 minutes in, arm is still okay. Curd still not thickened. Heat is going up just a bit. Woohoo! 10 minutes in. It has substantially thickened. I'm gonna stir it just to let it cool down for a moment. To this, we're gonna add 6 tablespoons of butter that have been cut up into 6 different chunks. Now this has been sitting at room temperature, so it's a little bit softer than just coming out of the refrigerator. And the heat obviously is going to melt it. Now that it's melted, we're gonna take it out of this glass bowl because glass will continue to hold heat and we want this to cool down. We're gonna put it in one of our plastic bowls, cover it with plastic. We're gonna push the plastic down to the surface of the lemon curd. That way it won't collect a skin as it cools. Then we're gonna put it in the refrigerator and let it cool until the cake is done and we can put the two together. Okay, the timer just went off, and what we wanna do is we wanna make sure that it's cooked clear through or it's going to collapse, and there's no real way of knowing that. We wanna make sure that it's lightly browned, which it is, and that it feels, nope, I'm gonna put it back in for just a little bit. We wanna make sure it feels dry across the whole top, but right here it feels a little wet yet. And if it's wet, the structure's not gonna hold when we turn it over and it's gonna collapse. So I'm gonna put it back in the oven for just a little bit. Okay, it's a tough decision because you also don't want it, oh look, but it looks like it's collapsed a little bit already, because you also don't wanna dry it out. So, I think I may have messed that up a little bit because it looks like it's sunk already. All right, we're gonna turn it over and then we're gonna leave it to cool for an hour. The pan, you may not have noticed it when I was showing the pan to you, but it's got 3 little legs here on the side. That's what it's standing up on now for the hour until it cools. And then we can, and since our lemon curd is also cooling, we will meet back here when everything has finally cooled off. Okay, the cake, if you look at it from this side, the cake has come down to the board. So it is apparently cut loose from the side. So now I'm really nervous to pick it up because I want to make sure, I hope it turned out right. Okay, we're gonna, okay. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure the British Baking Show would say it didn't get cooked clear through. So it does look a little bit like hell. Let's see. It feels nice. I want to cut into it and see what it looks like on the inside. Oh, yeah. See, I don't know if you can see, but it looks a little dense there. Like it looks like it should be, and it feels a little dense. Like I think it should have been airier. What probably happened is I shouldn't have taken it out of the oven to check it that time when I pointed and said, no, I'm gonna put it back in a little bit, because I think that cooled the structure and then allowed it to sink a little bit, which is why it's a little bit more dense here than I think it probably should be. But we'll put some lemon curd on it. We'll see how it goes. Not perfect bake, but I don't think anyone's gonna turn it away either. I'm definitely not. Angels? Nope, they're not either. Okay, here we are with our, see, you can also tell just by the way it's sitting that it wasn't quite cooked enough because it's collapsed in on itself. But we've got our angel food cake here, and I've already had a piece, to be honest. And let me just tell you, it still tastes fine. It's a little dense, but it's still plenty fun. And I've got our lemon curd here that I made. This I didn't let cool quite long enough, so it's a little bit thin, but I'm gonna dump this over, oh, yummo. Okay, pour just a little bit of that over the cake. Now we're gonna taste it with the lemon curd. Oh, and remember when you're letting angel food cake sit out, you want to always make sure to wrap it because it'll dry out very, very quickly, which has kind of happened here a little bit. Oh my. Mmm. That lemon curd is nice. Really nice. Oh, yummo. Good choice. So, good choice. So now I've made angel food cake. I've never done that before. I know I've been baking a lot. So I've got a couple friends who are coming over to do videos with me and cooking videos, and they should both be pretty savory. So we're going to be skipping baking for a little while, but please hit that subscribe button, which is right down there. I keep forgetting to ask you to do that the last few videos. I'm not sure why, but it really helps. We're up to 63 now. That's cool. Very exciting. And I guess that's the end. If you have any comments or questions or concerns or anything, please leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. And other than that, I'll see you next Tuesday. Au revoir. Please do like that, hit that subscribe button, which is right down there. I have been, damn, got a mouthful of that, huh?